The Top Floor Please podcast, where women in leadership rise together. I'm your host, Melissa McCormick, executive coach and founder of the Grace and Salt Leadership Academy. This is your space to find clarity, grow in confidence, and lead with bold authenticity. Whether you're navigating the boardroom, building your team, or stepping into new territory, you're not alone. Let's talk real challenges, real growth, and real leadership because the top floor isn't just a place, it's a mindset. Alrighty then, let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to the Top Floor Please podcast. That's a mouthful. I'm your host, Melissa McCormick, and today's episode is going to be a little bit different than what we've done in the past because it's personal and it's something that I wanted to share with you because, as you know, if you've listened to me for a while, I live life looking for leadership lessons, and this time is no different. Um, so let's just dig into this. But it's all about today's episode is all about the waiting room of leadership. Okay, so those are those moments when you don't have any answers, when the next step feels uncertain, and when life reminds you that not everything is in your control. And so that's what I want to talk about today. A few weeks ago, in October, right? So October Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I, um, it was time for me to get my mammogram. And so I did. And a little bit different because, which I won't get on this soapbox, but because of my insurance, I couldn't go to the normal imaging center that I go to, which is at the hospital. I had to go to a specific imaging center, which was fine. I've been there before for other things. But this time I went for the mammogram because of my insurance restrictions, which was very frustrating. But it was a fine. I mean, it was fine. It was fine. It was normal, whatever. Um, anyway, so I didn't really pay attention because I don't know if those of you listening do self-examinations, but I do from time to time and everything seems to be fine. So I wasn't too worried about it. Well, if you if your hospital system, your health system has my chart, which most of them do, then you get the results via my chart and they'll email you and say, there's an update, you need to go in, log into the portal. And so I didn't really pay attention to it. And normally I get a letter from my old place, the hospital. They would send me a letter, there's been no findings or anything. You're all good to go for another year. Well, I didn't get a letter, but it was a new place. So I thought, okay, that's fine. Well, anyway, my I have two email addresses. I have my work email address and then I have a personal email address. And I had put my personal email address in the My Chart profile. So any correspondence from My Chart was going to my personal email address, which I do not check all the time. And so I decided, so let's see, this was end of October when I went in. It is now, as I'm recording this, it's early November. And so 2025. So I went into my Gmail account, my personal email account, and I'm deleting because I got newsletter, all the stuff, right? So I'm scanning but deleting, and I see this My Chart one, and I'm like, ooh, My Chart. Why do I have a message from My Chart? So I go in and I realize, oh shoot, it's my mammogram. So there was a message that said, we've been trying to reach you, and we need you to call the office for your results of your mammogram. Hmm, that's not good. That's not good. They usually, if it was normal, they would just say it in My Chart or I'd get a letter, right? So now I'm freaking out. So I call and they say, okay, there is an area that is a little shadowy, a little cloudy, and we want you to come back in for a deeper scan and ultrasound to see what's going on. Okay, no problem. So I call the place that they want me to go to, regardless of my insurance. I'm just going to back to where I normally would go, and that is by the time this airs, I will have the results of that back. So right now, it's going to be a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks before I know one way or the other, whether it's, it could be fatty tissue, it could be, whatever. It might have been the technician, who knows? Or it could be something else where they need to go in and do a biopsy. So right now I'm in waiting and I'm nervous. Like I know that this has happened to me before and it was nothing. So like by the time I went in for the second scan, whatever it was had disintegrated or whatever and it was gone. So I've been through this before, but it's still, if you've had this happen to you, you know that you're anxious and you're nervous and you're worried and all of those things. So ladies and men, but primarily ladies, because men can get breast cancer too. But ladies, if you have not had a mammogram, you need to. And usually they want you to do a baseline around 40 years old. So go to your doctor and follow your doctor's instructions, but please do it. I've got a lot of people that I know, a lot of ladies that I know that have gone through breast cancer treatment, whether that's mastectomies or or lumpectomies or strictly radiation or whatever is required for their situation. But it's no fun, no matter what type of treatment you have to get. So I am a little, a little nervous. And it got me to thinking about how does this waiting room, that's where I'm at. I feel like I'm in this waiting room. So how does this waiting room impact leaders? And so I thought about that and I thought, well, when you're worried about something, it's easy to lose focus. It's easy to just not be productive. Two ways. One is you're going to, bury yourself into work, and the second way is that you don't even want to work, right? But have you ever received a cryptic message from your boss? Like maybe your boss puts a calendar invite on your calendar and it doesn't really say what it's about. And so now you're spinning. Like you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, what is happening?" And so you're worried up to that point because they're traveling, so you can't even go ask, or you're not that kind of employee that's gonna ask. So you start absolutely spiraling. Or you might have you come to your desk and there's a sticky note that says we need to talk, or your client sends you an email that says I need to talk, and you are, you get that feeling in your stomach and you're really spiraling out of control. It's the only explanation that I have. Well, that's kind of what I'm going through right now. And so I just want to give you some tips in order to keep yourself grounded. And this is also going to keep me grounded over the next 3 weeks or so. So the first one is that I want you to stay present and not predictive. What does that mean? Well, when we lose peace, when we try to control what hasn't happened, right? I don't know the results of this scan, but right now I'm trying to control it. So we need to stay present. What do we know? Like, what do we know? Well, we know that there is an area that doesn't look quite right. That's all I know. I don't know any more than that. They didn't rush me in, so it must not be that bad, right? So if you've got a calendar invite from your boss and you're like, what is this all about? What do you know? Well, you know that your boss wants to talk to you and you're not quite sure about what. So be present. Don't be predictive. You just need to be in the now. That's number one. Number two, name it without owning it. So it's okay to say, I'm anxious, I'm nervous, without letting anxiety lead the way, right? So in leadership, naming uncertainty helps your team do the same. So it gives permission for honesty. So if you're going through a situation in your organization that is uneasy, like there's a lot of change going on, or the economy is dipping and you're not quite sure how we're going to meet our monthly financial obligations, whatever it might be, name it. You can name it to your team. You can say, look, I'm nervous about this too, but here's the plan we're going to go through, right? So you name it, you give that respect to that feeling, but you don't let the feeling overcome your actions and your behavior. And that helps your team go, yeah, okay, I'm nervous too. But the boss has it. Like I know she's nervous. She said she was anxious about where we're at with things, but we've got a plan and we're going to get through this. So it's showing up as that executive that you are. So number two. So first one is I want you to stay present, not predictive. Two is I want you to name it without owning it, right? So that's I'm anxious, but the anxiety doesn't take over your world. Three is I want you to control the controllables. What does that mean? You can't control outcomes, but you can control preparation. So think about what is in your circle of influence and what you absolutely can control. Prepare what you can and release the rest. Okay. Really focus on what you can control. And then finally, four is the find gratitude in the gap. So even in the waiting, there's something to be thankful for. This is also Thanksgiving season as I'm recording this and as it airs. So I want you to be thankful for that support, the growth, the perspective, your faith, whatever it might be. Gratitude doesn't erase it, right? It doesn't say, okay, so I'm grateful, so now I've forgotten about it. No, it doesn't do that, but it does shift your perspective and your approach while you wait. And so in my case, um, you know, I need to practice these too. So stay present, not predictive. So I need to stay on, yes, at least they found it. I went to get my mammogram, they found it, and now I will wait until they can do the next scan and we're just going to wait and it's going to be fine. Whatever it is, we're going to address. Yes, I am anxious about it. So number two, naming it without owning it. Yes, I am anxious about it, but I'm not going to let the anxiety control my behavior and stop my productivity and stop my life. Like I am absolutely going to continue to lead and build this business the way that I've been doing. I'm going to control the controllables. I'm not going to worry about the things that I can't do. I'm going to release the rest of it. And I'm going to find gratitude in the gap. So, gratitude. I am grateful that I had insurance, that I could go. First of all, this imaging center, because it was October, they had a special going on that it was $135 for a mammogram. That's crazy. That's super cheap. So normally they're $300 to $500 without insurance. My insurance is not great at all. In fact, it's terrible. So they only pay like a super tiny percentage unless I go to these imaging centers. So that's why I switched. But anyway, I am grateful that I have insurance. I'm grateful that we have mammogram technology today that can catch early detection of breast cancer or any kind of cancer. I'm super grateful for that. I'm grateful for the mind chart, right? For going into my, and by the way, I changed I changed my email address to my work email so that I get all of those my chart messages promptly because it was a good 2 weeks before I saw it. But I just want to share this with you, and I probably shared it with you before, but I think it's worth saying, and that is that I had a friend of mine at Taylor, so he was the CFO, and he was a very good friend, and he used to tell me, Melissa, don't let the wire get wrapped around the axle. What did he mean by that? He meant that it's kind of like when I go back and I say, stay present, not predictive, or control the controllables. That's very similar to what he was saying. Like, don't spiral. If you don't know why the other person wants to have this conversation. So you go into that conversation out of curiosity and understanding, not as in defensive, and you've already made the story up in your mind. So he would say, Melissa, the wire, don't let it get wrapped around the axle. Don't spiral because we don't know. And 9 times out of 10, if not more, I was making up stories in my head that was not the case. Like we'd get on the phone with a client and they just had some questions that we needed to answer and then we could do it. So he was all about facts and not emotions, right? He was a great guy, but he wanted to know facts before he responded to anything. And that taught me a lot. So I want you to remember that as well. So just don't let Don't spiral. Stop and wait for the facts. And so in my case right now, I'm going to stop and wait for the facts. And then I'm going to release it. And I'm going to release. I don't typically talk about my faith on this particular podcast, but today I am because this is scary. So, I'm going to try my hardest to let it go, let my worry go, and give it over to God. And He knows the outcome. He already knows what's happening. I wish He'd give me a little insight, but I don't have that insight. And so I need to give it up, right? Control the controllables, which means you let go of the things that you can't control. And this is one of the things I cannot control. And so I'm going to release it to Him and give it over to God as well. So, okay. Your grace and salt coaching moment as we just kind of wrap up this episode. Grace says that it's okay to not have all the answers and when we're talking about leadership or when we're talking about my personal situation. But salt says, but I'll keep showing up anyway. Like I'm still going to be there. I'm still going to um be truthful and communicate appropriately. But gratitude says, and even here I can be grateful. Even in the situation that I'm going through right now, I can be grateful. Um, so here's your action step. I want you to, as you head out into Thanksgiving, take a moment to reflect on what you're grateful for in the waiting, not just in the winning, right? So be grateful in the waiting, not just when you know and in the winning. So gratitude grows stronger when it's practiced in the in between, right? Yeah, that is so true. So I want to thank you so much for hanging out on the top floor. This has been an interesting episode, and I hope you found that it was valuable. Be sure you go get your mammograms, and be sure to check your emails if you have the situation that I do, so that you can get your My Chart results as well. But if today's episode really gave you something to think about, please share it. Share it with a friend who might need, some of the same reminders. And if you're ready to go to the next step and find your voice and really want to know more about what I do to help executives and those who are striving to be executives, go to graceandsaltleadership.com and check it out. You can always email me, send me a DM, however you want. But I'd also love to, I'd love to have your support. Thank you so much, and you have a absolutely happy Thanksgiving. The next podcast is going to be all about um, being grateful, and I'm going to give you some mindset boosts. And so I look forward to hearing or seeing you at that time. All right, take care, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving. Thanks so much for hanging out on the top floor. If today's episode gave you something to think about or a little boost, share it with your friends to keep the momentum going. And hey, if you're ready to rise, find your voice, and lead with clarity and confidence, we'd love to connect with you. Reach out at graceandsaltleadership.com to learn how Grace and Salt can support your growth. Remember, you don't have to lead like everyone else, just lead like you. All right, I'll see you next time on the top floor.